Have you ever wondered how it would be if you log on to a website and you see everything there in your local language? Well, I'm sure most of us are exposed to websites in most of the times in the English language. But how would you feel if you see or you log on to websites and the text there, in fact, everything there is in your local language? Well, that is our conversation today with me, Grace Hammoah Agyemang.
Welcome to Africa's LSP Podcast, where we explore the world of translation, interpretation, and localization, as well as connect with the language industry's top players. From language service providers to the businesses and individuals who rely on their services, we'll be delving into the challenges, opportunities, and trends shaping the industry. Join us as we discover the power of language and the impact it has on connecting Africa and the world. Brought to you by Bolingo Consult, Africa's LSP Podcast is the go-to podcast for all things language in Africa.
My guest today is Kelvin Klutse, a web development manager at Bolingo Consult, and he is talking to us about websites localization for African languages. Like I said earlier, he is the man, he is your go-to person if you want to have your website in your own local language. So that if you are a Kam and you log on to your local language, you see Shesheha, Koha, Niekoso, Nieba. Well, Kelvin is here to talk to us about it. Kelvin, we are so pleased to have you talk to us about the beautiful and exciting work you're doing when it comes to web development. My listeners and I are privileged to have you. Tell us a bit about yourself. When we say Kelvin, what should be ringing in our minds?
So, my name is Kelvin Samuel Klutse. On social media, people know me as Van Kelvin. And then my ewe name is Dagbe.
Dagbe, never. Never. Yes. Never means come.
Yes.
And come.
Never, yes. So, Dagbe is life.
Okay. Oh. Let them be life. That's a beautiful name. There's something about these our names, they all have beautiful meanings.
Yes. I'm from OT and Volta region. My mom is from OT region. I grew up in OT region, bro, in Yasi. I had my secondary and primary education all in OT region. And then my university, I had it in Accra by here.
Okay.
My dad is from Ho. So, yeah, I'm a Ho boy. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm a website developer, software developer or software engineer, and also the website development manager for Bolingo. Okay. Your go-to for anything language services.
Everything language services. Kelvin, it's good to have you join us once again.
Thank you.
When we say website localization, what does it mean?
Well, so website localization basically means adjusting or converting your web content to make it useful and then relevant to the users. So in doing that, you have to consider their language and culture into perspective. And then when we say website localization or translation, it goes beyond that. Some people think like, oh, you just have to switch their website to a particular language. But it goes beyond this. When you are creating for example, languages varies.
Yes.
We speak Spanish in Spain, I think America and some other countries, right? But they vary from country to country.
Exactly.
You have to put it into consideration your target audience where you are localizing the content for. Then you tailor your website content to.
Because even here in Ghana, when you come to the Akan speaking people, we have Asante Chi, and there's Fanti Chi, and there's Ikwapim Chi. All of these are Chi, but there's that distinction between the three. So I understand the points you're making about languages varying and being able to tailor it to the particular people you're targeting it at. How easy or difficult is this?
No such thing as easy or a difficult task, right?
Okay.
It all depends on you having the right tools and then the right people at the right time. You also have to, it depends on the technology that your client wants.
Yeah.
The website to be it. You have to put all of this into consideration.
And And for Kelvin to say that when you have professional translators, then he's directing us to Bolingo Consult. Kelvin, walk us through the process of localizing a website, particularly focusing on some of your past websites where you've localized them into Asante Tree, Fanti, Zulu, and Arabic, and all the other languages.
Okay. So, like I earlier on said, localizing websites involve adapting it to different languages and regional differences, right? So we have steps. When you come to Bolingo, we have a framework or a guidelines that we follow in localizing websites. So it all starts from the management, and then it comes to the marketing people.
Okay.
Do a research. The first step is to do a research. You do a research about where you want your website to appear or your target audience. You get it. So let me use Akan News.
Okay.
A popular Akan News website, for example. So even though the website is open to everyone globally, but then we target certain people in Ghana over here, not even entire Ghana. In Ghana, we target a certain language. We did our research and we know that this amount of people speak Tree and Fanti. Then we build our website in that. So number one is research. You do your research. Then number two is you select you choose your technology.
Okay.
A technology that you want to use. If you are going to hard code everything from scratch, so it's very difficult. You get it. Or you are going to use a CMS. CMS is content delivery, content management system, like WordPress. In our case, we don't have a dedicated or a full development office. Like we have about 10 or 5 web developers together.
Yeah.
We have solo developers.
Okay.
In some contents, we bring external people to come and help. We depend heavily on WordPress. You get it. So now let me use WordPress as an example. So in building a WordPress website that you need to localize into Tree, you first have to select your plugins, or you have to take into consideration the plugin that you are going to use for your translation. That is if you are using human translation. And of course, it's human translation that we are talking about. Yes, so you select some plugins that are used for the translation. Then you make sure you get the strings ready. Then you install your plugins and then your themes ready. Now, there's one thing I'm not talking about over here. Building websites, you don't just jump into building it like that.
Yeah.
From the marketing team, you have to go to the designer.
Okay.
The UI UX designer. You get it? So the UI UX designer have to design the website for you. Then the marketing accept it, approve the design, that this design is good. In doing this, they have to design the website in that particular language.
So if this design you are talking about, is that the layouts or what you see when we open the website?
The layout.
Okay, the layout.
Layout and how it's the feel of the website.
Yes, okay.
Yes, the functionality didn't come into play.
Okay.
We just see the layouts like that texture.
So where we can find this part, what is on the right, what is on the left, what's in the middle. Yes. Okay.
So after that, when it comes, and then you start building your website. And when you install your plugins and themes finish, then you also create what in my case, what I normally do is that I create templates.
Okay. Because
one particular word will repeat in about 3 or 4 parts in the website. You can't go to each website, each site, each part of the website and then be changing the words over there.
Okay.
So when you create this template, it runs through the website.
It replicates.
Yes.
Okay.
Loop throughout, and then that particular words, it's changed throughout the website.
And that makes it easier for you.
Yeah, for us to localize the website. Then you translate your content. Then I also use some plugins like Elementor. It's more like a drag and drop plugin that you can use. And that one is easy. You are translating everything directly.
Okay.
In your editor. So when you are using a technology like WordPress, we have something we call internal strings. These internal strings, you can't edit them directly or change them directly. So you have to depend on external plugin. So, for example, you can use a plugin like Local Translate. So you install this Local Translate, and then the plugin will pull out all these internal strings, and then you present it, you give it to the translators, and then you translate your website. Yeah.
So, Kelvin, let me ask you a question on the Arabic translation or localization. Share the experience with us, because we know that one is a bit to the left, I must say. So share the experience with us.
Correct. So even though Arabic is run from right to left, but I enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's the process is easier.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
The reason why I said this is that the technology we are depending on, that is WordPress, have its own languages.
Okay.
And Arabic is one of
part of the languages.
Yes. So immediately you switch the language from English to Arabic in the system automatically adapts to it. Now you feel like, oh, okay, that's all. The content on the website, the language, the content is straightforward, but you are deceiving yourself.
Okay.
You get it. So we just change the layout, and then the strings. You get a string for your translators, the original translators, and then you change it inside.
Mm-hmm. Well, so if you just tuned in, this is the Africa LSP podcast. We're having a conversation with Kelvin Samuel Klutse, who is a web development manager, and he specializes, or he's very good in websites localization for African languages. He has developed a website that is in Asante Tree, that is in Fanti, that is in Ewe, in Zulu and Arabic, and he's sharing the experience with us. Kelvin, what are some of the common technical glitches or challenges you encounter when localizing these websites, and how do you address them?
For most of the African languages, getting the right plugin to switch the language. You get it? For example, some plugins, when you are translating website, we have something called PO.
PO,
yes.
Okay.
That's the file that hosts all your strings, especially in the local language that you have created. So these plugins, at times, they come with updating them. You have to be updating them all the times.
Okay.
And some of them, because you save the file in the plugins directory, once you update them later on, everything changes. You get it? So this is one major issue that we are facing. Now, if you save the file outside the plugin, that means your translation is not going to work. You get it? You have to be in the plugin folder.
Yeah.
So that's another technical challenge that I'm facing. And then, generally that's that.
I think I get it, and I know my listeners also can identify with some of these challenges. So how do we ensure that the layout and design of multilingual websites remain consistent across different languages, especially considering the variation in string length and cultural nuances? Explain it a bit further.
Yes. So to ensure consistent layout and design for multilingual websites, right, you have to use design frameworks.
Okay.
So the design framework that adapt to different string lengths. If I say like design framework that adapt to different string lengths, for example, we are using a flex box.
Okay.
Either you use a grid or you use a flex box in designing your website. Okay, and then you must make sure your design is in the local language or the language that you are translating it to.
Okay.
You get it? So we know that from beginning you might not get all the strings, but you must make sure that the design is in the local language. And then you test the UI, UX, the design thoroughly before you start with your development.
With the development. So could you share any specific strategies or best practices you've developed for managing human translation effectively on WordPress sites?
Yes, so we use translation plugins. Okay, so some people feel like, okay, even if you are going to use, even if you are translating your website into our colonial languages, you still have to use translation plugins. Yeah, like the local translator I'm talking about. Then we have the WPML. You get it. You use the translation plugins, and then you also use centralized translation management. So if I say centralized translation management, it's a platform that integrates all your translations into the website directory. And then you also use virtual content for translators. Okay. You get it. Then also you have to be regularly updating and then reviewing your content.
That is very key. So how do you approach cultural and community engagement when localizing websites, especially considering the diverse linguistic and cultural backgrounds of your target audience?
Okay, so in doing that, I've spoken about this, during your design process, the research stage.
Okay.
Your research stage, you have to put into consideration cultural adaptation. So when I say cultural adaptation, it means all your images, your videos, your text must align with the culture
of the people, the target audience.
Yes. For example, we are building websites in Ghanaian language, Asante Twi, and then you use an image of a Korean man. You get it? Or we are talking about an Asante culture. Then you use an Ewe Kano. Yes, if it doesn't make sense. You get it? It doesn't make sense to them. And when they see this, they be mad. And then you have to involve the community. Doing your research, you have to involve the community. We have linguists in almost all the communities. So you go to them and they also this thing, how do we say it? This bottle, this is how it's called in the language. You have to involve them in it. Then you get your research very well. And then you also use localization partners.
Okay.
You get it. So someone who is listening to me and you want to localize your website, you don't just say, okay, I can speak Twi, I can write Twi. So let me come to Kelvin. Yes, let me come to Kelvin, and then Kelvin will translate my language, my website into Twi for me. It doesn't work like that. Okay. You have to partner with language service providers like Bolingo Consult.
Kelvin, I have the privilege of going on the akannews.com to see the beautiful work that you have done there, and also on the Bolingo Consult website to see the beautiful work you've done there. So Kelvin, currently there's a bit of conversations around artificial intelligence and how it is changing things around. How do you think we can leverage on this to help with website localization? We already know that there's Google Translate, which people are taking advantage of. How do we see AI also help us leverage on website localization? Some of the AI tools can speak some of our languages.
Yes. Yes. So when you go to the more advanced countries and stuff like that, they are already using it. But then the AI itself is in the training process.
Okay.
What people feed ChatGPT is what
it produces or gives back to us.
Yes.
That's very true.
Yes. So AI has come to stay. Yeah. So we have to look at AIs that are built for Africa.
Okay.
And then Africa languages. You get it? Africa languages. In the context of development, we are using AI to, code and do stuff like that already. But in the language, we have to depend on AI, but not fully. Not fully.
So let's say there's a little boy or a little girl out there who is listening to our conversation and has been waiting to hear you tell him or her what they can do to become a web developer or somebody who is able to localize. What should they be doing? How does somebody become a web developer, especially into localization?
Okay, so becoming a web developer, right? It boils down to your passion.
Okay.
That's the number one thing. Any career that you want to have, you have to have the passion for building websites or into IT or coding. Once you have the passion, the zeal will be there. Now YouTube is there. You go on YouTube, you search for how to develop websites, and then you have two ways to choose: either becoming a software developer or a programmer. The programmer is someone who code the website, and then we have the DIY, do it yourself, where we have CMS like content management systems like WordPress that help you to do drag and drop. You get it? So you go online, you search for these tools, how to use the tools. You get it? So that's the first thing you have to do in your way to become a web developer.
And then when it comes to education?
Yes, education. When you go to school, right now there are some secondary schools that are even teaching web development and stuff.
Yes.
You have
coding.
Coding you have to take is very serious. You have to take it. You don't have to be master of, is jack of all trade or something like that.
Jack of all trade and master of none.
None. Take one particular programming language, web development language that, okay, I'm going to do this. So when it comes to the web software engineer, we have back end and then the front end. I started from the front end. Okay, so when you go on the website, they feel how it looks like. You click some button and then it did magic. That's the work of the front end. Yes, so you take certain part. If that's what you want to do, you take that part, you master it, and then you move forward. Then you have to, coding is an everyday, every minute thing. You have to be coding all the time. You don't say, well, I want to be a web developer, and you code today, you go and sleep, then you come back next week or next month.
So why should organizations consider having their websites in other languages apart from, say, the English language?
Okay, so you see, content produced in English can reach 1.4 billion people. That is representing about 25% of the world population. That means 6.6 billion people are probably waiting to hear from you. So, even if not 6.6 people, obviously we are not going to have your website in all these languages. Let's just take Ghana. If our population is now, how many? 33 million. Not all these 33 million speak Twi or English. So let's say if we have 15 people or 10 people who speak Twi, and who speaks Twi and who can speak English or can read English, that means you are depriving them
of also getting access to the information they need.
Yes.
Yeah.
So having a website in local language increase your sales and revenue. You get it? Because in doing that, you get more people to purchase your your product online, and then your product and services online, and then it also increase customer engagement. Because if Vodafone have their website translated in Twi, and they have a customer service featured on their website, which is in Twi, and I can go on the website and then I can click on a button to have a conversation with them directly in Twi or Ewe, my language. Don't you think that would be easier for me than calling them? You get it?
Yes, Kelvin.
Because at times, the customer service people who are on the websites, you connect with them and the person can speak Twi, or even the person can type Twi. You get it? So in do that, you increase customer engagement, you have more engagement, and then also you improve brand reputation. You improve your brand reputation. Localizing websites can help businesses to establish a stronger reputation with the local communities.
So you made a point about telecommunication companies and how they are inculcating, what you call them, you have the option to speak to somebody in your local language, and I think that is a good step. Do you think that is probably another step or another type of localization? So would you advise others to be looking at it or adopt?
Yeah, that's another type of localization, because you are speaking to someone directly in your language. Me, if I call MTN, most of the times, even though I can speak the English, but I request for a typical yes. And the relationship is there. The person will understand you. You get it? Because at times, see, when people come with their grievances, the way they speak, you think that the person is mad all over. Maybe that's how the person grew up. Or maybe their culture, that's how they behave. So getting someone
who knows the language.
Exactly, yes. can understand you very well. You get it?
Kelvin, it's been an enlightening conversation with you. These are like technicalities of web development, and for the people out there who are technology or technicality inclined, I know that they're very excited. But also for us as users, we know that there's hope for us, because very soon or subsequently we are going to see a lot more websites in our local languages. And for that, we're able to identify with it better. There's no stress as to whether you can speak the English language or not. You can go to a website and you have your language there, and it is best. Before you go, what will be your final words to my listeners out there?
So I'm encouraging companies in Ghana, especially the local companies, to try and then, not just their websites, even their mobile apps, they should try and then translate or localize their contents.
Yeah.
You get it? They should try and localize their content. I mean, early this year, we went to Benin.
Okay.
And I saw something that, I mean, even there, they had Voodoo Festival in Benin, right? And all the banners are translated in their language.
Okay.
You get it?
Yeah.
So they tell all the people, they have their target market. It's not in English. You get it? So, I mean, I'm encouraging companies and then institutions out there, even government sectors, government companies, to be able to localize their content, not just their website, their mobile apps, even their books. They should be able to, localize them so that it make it easier for our people to also have more access to them.
Okay. Kelvin, thank you so much for talking to us, and then you're good to go. Kelvin Samuel Klutse, also known as, I'm trying to remember your ever name. Dagbeneva, which means let there be life. Yeah, he has been my guest on the show, on this episode, talking to us about website development and especially website localization for African languages. Kelvin, we are so grateful you made time to join us. Thank you for coming on our show. We appreciate it. To my listeners out there, thank you also for taking time to join us like you always do. We'll come your way again with another episode subsequently. Until then, my name is Grace Hammoah Agyemang. Kelvin, but before that, you are an Everman. You need to speak to your people in your language. Talk to companies about why they should localize their website in your local language.
Okay, me talk with kwenye sewe bia dokuma ba bia be ne me afete me akọ me afola website to call it ever gbeme. Na have na shop via de la alo like I have Melcom for mini market they have website na alo like what all jala for me have amodo ke onye e-commerce who have open e-commerce or online anu jajira wa ko ko la ko la jira online ya I do it journal be like na call website I call it ever gbeme. Ne translate to website call it ever gbeme. Ele sellers, so buyers, you are going to get buyers. Buyers will probably be like English me, especially when be product both at all the day like a review the day so be ajira product and now you are going to get.
So for the benefit of my listeners who do not understand the language, give us a summary of what you said.
Okay, all I'm trying to tell them is that if we have people who have e-commerce or e-commerce businesses, right? Some of them, they are just running their business from home, from their bedroom. They have their products in the bedroom. They don't have a physical shop
or location.
Yes, and they have a target market. Some of them will like, oh, okay, I'm delivering only in Ho. I don't deliver outside Ho. So if we have, let's say, 300 English speakers in Ho, or let me just use the word 2,000 speakers in Ho, and let's say population of Ho is like 10,000. That means the rest of the 8,000 people will not be able to get your products. You get it? So because it's only 2,000 people who will be able to access your website in English. So you translating or converting your website in a way will make you gain more buyers than having it only in English.
Okay. Kelvin, we can't thank you enough for coming to share your knowledge with us on the show today. My listeners and I are very grateful.
Thanks for tuning in to Africa's LSP Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and learned something new. For feedback or enquiries, reach out to us at podcast@bolingoconsult.com. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite platforms. Until next time, stay curious and keep growing.